For the past couple of weeks, I've been using the Sony EPZ 18-105mm f4 GOSS. In fact, I recently uploaded a video of compiled organic clips shot on this lens. Link in the description box below. As much as you want to cut to the chase and just tell you to go get one, I'd rather share 5 reasons why I personally believe that this is a must-have lens. But before that, roll that intro. First things first, let's talk about the build quality. It's mostly metallic, so it feels super solid. For the build composition, we have here 2 rings, one for focusing and one for zooming in or out. We also have here the toggle switch for power zoom, which we will be talking more about in a bit. We also have here the letter G, although this is just a G lens and not a G master. We also have here the constant aperture and the wide range of focal length. And of course, the Sony logo or the Sony text over here. For its size, it's kind of bigger and heavier compared to my other lens, the Sigma 30mm f1.4. That being said, let's dive into the main course. Reason number 1. Since this is a native lens, autofocus is without a doubt impressive. It's fast, responsive, and accurate. Although there are times that it haunts the subject, in most cases, it works just fine. Well, at least for me. Reason number 2, the constant aperture. Although this is not 1.8 or 1.4, for someone who does a lot of video work, this is highly recommended. This eliminates a lot of stress thinking about the exposure every time I change focal length. However, since this could only open at f4, this isn't the best option for low light situations. Believe me, without my Godox here, given that my room is not well lit, this isn't even usable at all, unless you're willing to crank up your ISO and risk a grainy footage. Nevertheless, if you have the means and the capacity to buy proper lighting accessories, the f4 constant aperture won't be a problem. Reason number 3, the OSS. The optical steady shot. You should always consider this in buying a lens, especially if you're using a camera that has no IBIS, the in-body image stabilization. Unfortunately, the Sony A6400, the one I'm using right now, doesn't have a built-in stabilizer. So this lens again has amazed me the moment I stick it to my camera. Of course, you don't want to compare this with the stability the gimbal gives, but absolutely this is way better than no stabilizer at all. Reason number 4, the power zoom. As I have mentioned earlier, you have 2 options, zooming in or out. Either the zoom ring or the toggle switch. Me personally, I still find delight in using the classic zoom ring. But the benefit of using the power zoom is that it gives me super smooth zoom in and zoom out motion in my footage. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In addition to that, zooming in or out with this lens is not super noisy like other zoom lens. I just don't have any other zoom lens here that I can compare this with, but it's fairly quiet. Another amazing thing is that it doesn't extend when you zoom in or when you zoom out. Like, how amazing is that? That's very thoughtful of Sony, especially for those who regularly use a gimbal, as they don't need to rebalance every time they change focal length. Me, I don't have a gimbal yet, but nevertheless, the fact that it stays this way no matter what is just genius. Good job, Sony. Last but certainly not the least, reason number 5, the wide range of focal length. And I might say a lot of things about this, so brace yourselves. For what it offers, this is basically a steal. Imagine you get 18mm to 105mm all in one lens. That's like what? 90 prime lenses in just about $500 US. This is primarily why I could say that this lens is very versatile, flexible, universal, diverse, whatever. You get the point. For photography or videography in general, street, landscape, etc., this lens has been super reliable so far. With that huge variety of focal lengths, generally I can cover a lot of creative shots using this lens. For talking headshots just like this one and handheld vlogging, you want to go wide enough to capture not just yourself, but also the background. The 18mm may not be as wide as the 16mm, especially for APS-C crop sensor cameras like the Sony A6400, but it really is not bad at all. Also, with proper lighting and at least a meter distance from the background, even at 18mm f4, I could still get a fair amount of that bokeh effect or that blurry background. I was actually looking at buying the Sigma 16mm, mainly for talking headshots, but with what I'm getting from this so far, I might brush off that idea for the time being. For portraits, at first I was really hesitant with its f4 aperture. Maybe a lot of you would be able to relate to that. My worry is that I won't be able to get that blurry background. I'm a sucker for that, by the way. Until I tried shooting at 50mm all the way up to 105mm, and that's when I realized that this lens is pure beast. I was initially surprised that I was getting a blurry background at 18mm, but I didn't expect that it would be this good at longer focal lengths. On top of that, since it can go up to 105mm, I don't need to be awkwardly close to the subject to get a nice portrait shots. This allows me to take real candid shots. Right, not scripted, candid shots. There you go, folks. I'm sure I wasn't able to cover everything, so let me know in the comment section if you do recommend this lens and why. As for me, I do recommend buying this lens, though it's not as sharp as prime lenses, but hey, folks from Instagram won't really bother. As I end, if you're getting a thing or two from this video, please do like and subscribe to my channel for more not super technical, but rather practical approach to gadgets and technologies. Until then, thank you for watching.